Welcome to this live stream. Let me see if we're on here. Okay, I think we're fine here. Please like the live stream. Just doing a test here. Okay, we're good. So this morning, the International Criminal Court had issued arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Of course, Yoav Gallant was removed by Benjamin Netanyahu. And we're just going to take a look at a headline here from Al Jazeera, Israel's favorite news network. So the world reacts to ICC arrest warrants for Israel's Netanyahu and Gallant. Said the ICC said it had found reasonable grounds to believe that Israeli officials were responsible for starvation in Gaza. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Gallant for alleged war crimes. The court said on Thursday that there were reasonable grounds to believe Netanyahu and Gallant, quote, intentionally and knowingly deprived the civilian population in Gaza of objects indispensable to their survival. The ICC also issued an arrest warrant for Hamas military chief Mohammed Daif. Of course, he was killed in an Israeli operation months ago. So the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan first applied for the warrants 6 months ago. In August, Khan called on the court to make a decision, saying, quote, any unjustified delay in these proceedings detrimentally affects the rights of victims, end quote. Since the decision was announced, Israeli officials, of course, have slammed the warrants, with Israel's transportation minister, Miri Regev, referring to them as, quote, modern anti-Semitism in the guise of justice, end quote. So this is the reaction from around the world. Of course, Hamas is welcoming this, but they didn't have anything to say about the charge with their former leader there. The people in Gaza, they're kind of skeptical that anything good out of this will come out, because they see that the United States is probably going to weigh in, or they're going to try to stop this ruling from actually being implemented. Of course, Jordan came out and said that the Palestinians deserve justice. The U.S., of course, is rejecting it. And I think that the U.S. role here is kind of disingenuous, because I think that even among some leftist circles or critics of Israel, they're pointing out that AIPAC is playing a really role, that AIPAC is really controlling or influencing U.S. policy towards Israel. And to a certain extent, I do agree with it, but I think that what this is really about is U.S. imperialism, that the United States wants Israel to continue playing a heavy-handed role in the Middle East region, because they're looking at Iran, and they're looking at other potential Middle Eastern players having a significant role in the region, and they don't want that to happen. If you look back in history, the U.S. has intervened in this part of the world going back to 1953 in their removal of Prime Minister Mossadegh and their alliance with the Iraqi leadership under Saddam Hussein. And of course, when the 1979, when the Ayatollah came to power in Iran and they got the Iranian Revolution, the U.S. was no longer an ally of Iran, and they have been systematically trying to limit Middle Eastern independence in this region, and Israel plays a critical role. Israel is a critical partner to U.S. geostrategic interest in that region. You look at the invasions of Afghanistan, Iraq, of course, those were failures. And what ended up happening is that Iran became a regional hegemon. And so it's in the U.S.'s best, well, not best, but it's in the U.S.'s national interest to try to limit Iran's role in that region. So Israel, the U.S. really, I would argue, they need a stronger Israel in that region. And if Israel feels that they need to take Gaza on the West Bank, well, the U.S. is going to allow them to do that. Uh, and whether it's the Biden administration or the Trump administration. So I don't think that this is really Israel controlling U.S. politics or APAC. I really believe that this is really what the United States wants, and so they're really endorsing a genocide. Canada came out, of course, saying, "Hey, this is really important that everyone abide by international law." South Africa, of course, is the country that opened the case in the International Court of Justice against Israel. Now, the ICC looks at violations made by individuals. The ICJ is the one that's looking at state actors, and that's where that case is going. You have the European Union, who said that hey, this decision is binding, that they want all the parties of this ICC to abide by the ruling. And you had the Netherlands there. They said that we won't engage in non-essential contacts and we will act on the arrest warrants. We fully comply with the Rome Statute of the ICC. France has said that they will also comply, but yet they are also saying that it's legally complex. You have Norway saying that it is important that the ICC carries out its mandate in a judicious manner. I have confidence that the court will proceed with the case based on the highest fair trial standards, said Foreign Minister Espen Barth Eide. Ireland has also said that they would be abiding by this. Italy, the foreign minister said, we support the ICC. The court must play a legal role and not a political role. You have Sweden saying that Sweden and the EU support the court's important work and protect its independence and integrity. Hungary came out and criticized this ruling. So it doesn't appear that Hungary is going to cooperate. The United Kingdom, of course, they said that they would respect the independence of the ICC. Well, what that means, we don't know. Austria, they called the warrant incomprehensible and ludicrous. You have many people from Israel who have Austrian ancestry. So that's important to point out. Switzerland, they're saying that they're obligated to cooperate with the ICC. And there you have it. Of course, Argentina, the current president right now is a Zionist. So that's where it stands at the moment. And I would argue that this is very significant because it's the first time in the history of international law that Israel is being called out for its breaking international law and committing war crimes in Gaza for the past year. You have an interesting article here from an op-ed that this morning for Owen Jones. I read it, and he points out basically that the world saw this genocide live as it was going, and thanks to the Palestinian people, Palestinian journalists, most of whom are not alive anymore because they were victims of this genocide, they were able to document in real time Israel's crimes. They were able to document soldiers in the IDF committing these war crimes, boasting about torturing Palestinian detainees. And really the world, the Western media looked away. They turned a blind eye to all this, but yet the evidence is still here. And this was a very good op-ed by Owen Jones, and he has a YouTube channel, which I do encourage you to follow. I think you just search his name, and his YouTube channel will appear. But he has really been providing very critical commentary on this subject. The last thing I want to point out is that yesterday, the United States Congress, um, I thought there was another article here before I take a look at that one. They, Bernie Sanders, along with two other senators, um, Peter Welch of Vermont and Van Horn, I believe is the other senator's name, introduced a joint resolution of disapproval against Israel. They were trying to limit weapon systems to that. They were trying to limit the U.S. sending certain weapon systems to Israel because they argued that Israel is committing humanitarian abuses, or they're breaking humanitarian law, and they cite that under U.S. law, the United States cannot send weapons to a country that's in violation of international law. The Senate resolution was defeated. There were only 19 senators who backed the resolution, but there's there's no other article here, but we'll take a look at this one. And this is what Senator Sanders here is saying, that the U.S. is funding the starvation of children in Gaza. Now, if you're funding the starvation of the people, then that's pretty much like a genocide. And he has refused to come out be on record to state that he believes that Israel is committing a genocide. So many people on the left have been criticizing him for refusing to use the G word. So this is important, even though the bill was defeated. Only 19 senators voted in favor. I thought it was very interesting that both senators from Georgia, both senators from New Mexico, both senators from Vermont, both senators from Hawaii, they all voted in favor. And in Georgia, I was surprised that John Ossoff, who's running for re-election in 2026, he voted in favor of this resolution. Raphael Warnock as well. So it was interesting to see the list of the 19. The both independent senators and the rest were Democrats. No Republican supported this. But it's important because you have Sanders here who's starting to build a coalition in the Senate, at least, to try to get the United States to stop the shipment of weapons. And now that the U.S. is transitioning between administrations, is the protest or well, not I shouldn't say protest, but any type of political movement or trying to get Israel to stop in the U.S. system is going to be important. And at least he's starting to build a coalition through this transition period between the Biden administration and the Trump administration. So whereas before we didn't have that many senators on the record saying, hey, we need to stop sending weapons systems to Israel, we at least now have 19 senators on the record. And that's something that can be built on, because you just need 31 more senators to come on board. And the longer this conflict is prolonged, the public is going to not really approve. Because you look at the exit polling, like I did previous live stream, that in the last election, according to the NBC exit poll, 4% of the electorate said that foreign policy was their major concern. 57% of that group voted against the Biden administration. They voted for the Republican, for Trump. So that to me just indicates that they disapproved of the administration's handling in Gaza and Ukraine. Okay, so I think I would argue that this issue now, Trump is going to inherit this issue, and you're going to have people on the left who, of course, are anti-Trump. They're going to start pressuring their members of Congress to come out against the Trump administration's handling of the situation in Israel and Gaza. If Trump decides not to stop Israel from continuing to commit their mass slaughter. So even though you might not think that 19 is that significant, it is, because he's building here a coalition, and you have some states whose both senators have already said, no, we need to stop sending these weapons. So it's just something to build on. That we were under no illusions that this joint resolution would pass, given the current environment. But 19 votes in the Senate is a significant number, given where we started from. So that's the situation there. Please like the live stream and subscribe to our channel, Progressives for a Democratic Republic. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great rest of the afternoon.